I was married at the time and didn't have a whole lot of support for it at all. So I just kind of let it go.
Okay.
And then fast forward years later, we were separated, getting divorced. And I said, I'm going to do this. I'm finally going to do this. I need something to focus on, something productive, something structured, you know, a healthy outlet to deal with stress and, you know, the uncertainty. So I was like, okay, let's do this. So I got connected with a coach here in Atlanta at the time. And this was 2019 was my first competition.
Wow.
And I've been doing it since 2019. And I did have the boys at that time.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they're 6 now, then they were just a couple years old at the time.
2. Yes,
yeah,
they were 2.
That's pretty impressive. One, to whip yourself into bodybuilding shape, you know, just a couple years out of pregnancy with twins, and then 2, just to be able to find the time. And we'll get into that because that's a whole other thing. Yeah. But that's amazing. So at the time that you decided to pursue this kind of dream that you had years earlier, like how far were you from that? Like, did you have a pretty hefty journey, or had you kept in pretty good shape?
So after I had the boys, they finally cleared me because I had early labor and they had to do emergency C-section. So everything kind of happened quickly and unexpectedly. So I was cleared later on to start being active again. Okay. And I decided to do spin classes because it was low impact. It was, you know, something that I could not hurt. I wasn't afraid to hurt myself.
Right.
And it was pretty high intense, but low impact. So you could get, you know, feel like you get a good workout.
Yeah. You get the heart rate up.
Exactly. And then also, somebody was telling me what to do. I didn't have to go into a gym and figure out, what am I going to do? I really don't want to do this. I'm tired of this. You know, I'm done with this rep or this set.
Yeah.
And I had somebody telling me for 45 minutes, this is what we're going to do. Go. And I needed that. And you need that sometimes as a mom, as a dad, as a person, you know, in general, you need that outside help.
I have a great home gym set up, and my wife only does her workouts out at different other places for like HIIT classes or CrossFit or whatever, because she likes someone else to say, do this, do it in this way, and do it at this cadence.
Yeah. And it worked for that season. I needed that because I just couldn't think, you know, when you have little ones,
mom brain.
Assumed, yes, you have mom brain. It's real. And yeah, you just need that external motivation, that help. And I did that. And then after I got to the point where we had a good schedule, nap, feeding, all of that, I felt like, okay, I can start going to a gym again. Okay, I had that internal motivation to say, and I joined LA Fitness because they have the kids clubs. So I could take the boys because they were they were old enough to go. I think about a year and a half that I felt comfortable going back to a gym.
Yeah.
And taking them with me.
Bringing the boys to the gym, right on.
Yes. Yeah.
You hear that, parents? You can do that. You can bring your kids to the gym. No excuses.
Yes. It was very helpful, and it gave me a couple hours to just be me, because I think we get lost in parenthood. Yeah. You know, that becomes our identity, and we forget that we are not just parents. Above all, we are parents, but we are more than that.
Yeah, and we have to be.
We forget who we are or who we were beforehand. Mm-hmm. So finding your way back to that is incredibly important. And the competition gave me the opportunity to really focus in for 12 weeks and, you know, reach a goal that honestly I thought I was never going to do. I was never going to have that part of my life again. I didn't think. And then, you know, circumstances turn upside down, you get separated, go through a divorce. It's like, what am I waiting for? I mean, what are we waiting for? Time goes on. We don't get to go backwards.
Nope.
You know, you have today, and that's pretty much it. You wake up tomorrow, you have tomorrow. So just do it, you know, make the decision. You are I don't know that we're ever 100% ready to do anything, but when you start taking steps and you see the small wins, it encourages you to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And you really can't wait until you're ready to do something to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it becomes a crutch.
Yeah. They say
courage or an excuse.
Courage is when you do it when you're scared. That's what courage is. It's not that you aren't afraid anymore. You're going to do it anyway, even when you're scared.
Yeah. I mean, part of my whole thing and with my coaching business, it's all about self-optimization. And I find that a big part of self-optimization is doing hard things. And that doesn't just mean lifting heavy weights, right? It means doing things that make you uncomfortable.
Yes. Otherwise, you're not growing, If you're just comfortable all the time, I mean, okay, great, you're comfortable, but what did you do with your life? What did you do with your time? What did you do with your day? What did you teach your kids? Did you teach your kids to just play it safe? Or did you teach them that you take risks and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and then you learn from it, and then you do something else. You try it again.
I was listening to a Peter Attia podcast, and he had a guest, and I can't remember who the guest was, but he said something. He said, aging is the pursuit of comfort, and it stuck with me because I find that to be very true, right? You look for the people that they live for getting onto that couch and watching their favorite shows and eating some snacks, and their age shows a lot more than the people that are out there hitting the streets, moving their bodies and being mindful of a lot of those things.
It's true. I read something kind of similar to that. It said, why don't we start creating lives that we don't have to constantly have escapes from? If we're escaping into TV, if you're escaping into alcohol, if you're escaping into whatever your vice, look at why you're doing it. Why do you feel like you need that? And it's not a judgment. We all have our moments where we're just struggling and we just need a break. But if it's a constant, I don't like this part of my life, so I'm always going to go here. Let's work on this part of your life, man. It's like disease management. If I'm only treating the symptoms and I'm telling you, well, just take this pill for your headache instead of get more sleep so that you don't have a headache, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yep, absolutely. It's brilliant. I love it. And if you're going to have some sort of escape that you need to do from time to time, because it's okay once in a while, but make it something productive. When I need to get out, I go for a motorcycle ride. Like it's cool. I get some space. I get fresh air. I get to enjoy the scenery, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think we put too much pressure on ourselves to have it all together, and nobody's a 10 all the time. Nobody knows everything. And that's why it's great to meet people in different circles, because it's like, hey, you're good at this. You're an expert at this. Let me get your take on it because I'm not an expert at that. Or I really feel like I need this kind of advice in this area. Mm-hmm. You go and seek a financial advisor if you're not good with money. You go to a trainer if you don't know what to do in the gym or with your body. You find a nutritionist or a dietitian, if you need help with your diet. So there's nothing wrong with reaching out to those people who are experts in their respective areas.